Hello, YouTube world. We're back for another video. It's Shane and Bain here with you. And we wanted to delve into uh, a topic that's fun. We're going to go over each of us three albums that were incredibly impactful in our musical journey. And I'll start by saying that Shane and I are 8 years apart. I was born in 1960. I'm a tail end baby boomer slash Generation Jones, I think they call it for
Yeah.
because we're special. And
Yes.
Shane's a Gen Xer.
An
So
old Gen Xer.
yeah, an old Gen. So our music taste varies a little bit, but we're going to go over three albums that impacted us in some way.
Yes, we are. We are.
And
And
I'm going to start with my first one, and the original copy, Steely Dan, "Can't Buy a Thrill." This came out in looks like November of '72, and I actually bought that copy on a trip to California. I bought it at a record store in Monterey, California, and Steely Dan, as a 13-year-old, it absolutely blew me away, and it opened my eyes to what music could be. And who better than Steely Dan to open a young lad's eyes? Incredible guitar work. I mean, from that first little bit on Reeling in the Years, I saw what lyrics could do. I saw what great musicianship could do. And I was absolutely hooked, and it made me love music even more. Anyway, Steely Dan, "Can't Buy a Thrill," one of the greatest debut albums of any group ever.
yeah, and to go off that, obviously when Steely Dan that album came out, I was too young. And I heard it growing up in the 70s, obviously this stuff. And I may have talked about this on the channel multiple times, but I couldn't it was jazz stuff to me as a kid. It was like this is mature music that I couldn't connect with. I was too young to appreciate that. And it wasn't until I became actually not too long ago, within the last 20 years, I'll be honest, I was always so put off by it because it was just as a child, it just didn't connect to me. And when I started listening to it and then start hearing the complexities of the music and appreciate it, then quickly came around and said, these guys are geniuses. And it is brilliant musicianship. And anytime Bruce says, "Hey, why don't you play that Steely Dan song?" It's like, hell no. Have you know how many freaking chords you have to learn to do it right?
Jazz chords
It
too.
is just impossible. I mean, it would set me up for total failure.
Yeah, I'm going to do a separate video just on how Steely Dan, you can't appreciate it. As a 13-year-old, I had no idea what I held in my hands and what I heard on that turntable. But that'll start us off on my three. Steely Dan, "Can't Buy a Thrill."
Steely Man. Okay. Well, I'm gonna start mine, but I'm this my three here are going to be records that got me into understanding or my passion of rock and roll music. Okay. So this is going to be strange in the sense that I have an older brother who's highly influential in my music listening because, and so does Bruce actually, and Bruce could maybe allude to that too. So he would come home, and maybe you've seen some of my videos talking about this, and he's about 4 years older than me, and he would buy this music and play it for me, and it would be my introduction to a lot of stuff. So I was too young in the 70s to be perfectly figure out what my passion was in the music. That came on in the 80s, maybe the early 80s, but I'll tell you what was highly influential for my three albums to me to this day. And the first one, and this is going to be cheesy, Bruce, and you're going to have to be patient, but it was in 1976. My brother brought home Kiss Destroyer. And this album, you got to understand, for an 8, 9 year old kid, boy, I was the audience that was going to gobble this up. I was mesmerized by the cover, the music, the sounds. I was like, who are these guys? We all wanted to dress up for Halloween. I wanted to be Ace. And the music really was awesome. And I didn't know much about the band except for I like this music. I love this album. Detroit Rock City, Beth, God of Thunder, Flaming Youth, all these crazy rock songs that may have took him like 3 hours to record in the studio back then, but I thought it was amazing. And it really stuck with me about how powerful and exciting music could be. And at that age, that was something that I remember the flick of a switch and when I was about 8, when it was like, wow, this is amazing. And
Fair
that would
point.
be my first one.
Fair point. Kiss was always kind of on the periphery of the soundtrack of my life, but good one.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
second one here. This album came out in 1971. I think I got it for Christmas that year from my brother or my sister. James Taylor, Mudslide Slim, and the Blue Horizon. And that album, man, that turned me on to the possibilities of the singer songwriter. What someone could do with words and an acoustic guitar, the storytelling. Man, James Taylor's voice went down so well. And little did I know his backing band, the Section, I mean, Russ Kunkel on drums, Leland Sklar, Danny Korchmar, those guys were shaping the sounds of dozens and dozens of other artists at the time. I was hearing them and I didn't even know it. So there became this sound that I heard on the James Taylor album that started to repeat itself over and over in other different singer-songwriters of that generation, and turned me on to that genre of music, and an incredibly impactful album for me. James Taylor, Mudslide Slim and the Blue Horizon, fantastic LP.
Yeah, and when I would hear James Taylor on the radio, I liked him. I liked it, but I always thought that thing too. At that age, growing up early, it was like, oh, this is old people music and all this. But I really liked his voice. And later you learn and you start getting interested in my instrument, playing guitar, how actually phenomenal of a guitar player James Taylor really is. So highly talented guy, love the guy. Remember being a young, he and Carly Simon, weren't they a thing?
They were a thing, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah.
he collaborated with Carole King. There was, yeah, it was quite
An
a
amazing voice that
quite
you
an era.
just, yep, exactly. So good call. Good one there, Bruce. Well, as this series continues today, or it's going to be really a lot of the influence from my older brother. So about 1976 to 77, about the time he brought home that Kiss Destroyer album, he brought home this 45 from this band called Electric Light Orchestra, and it was Telephone Line. And holy crap, I love that single, and I played the crap out of it. And I remember now if I recall the times listening to that album on his stereo, all the static marks on certain parts of the song that would just pop up because we would just play that single forever. Well, he one-upped it a year or so later. He brought home Out of the Blue by Electric Light Orchestra, and I actually have it behind me somewhere over here, but we'll put you guys all know Out of the Blue. And that became such a huge part of my childhood listen. I would listen to every side of that album, and obviously it had the hits Turn to Stone, Sweet Talking Women, Mr. Blue Sky back in the day, which ironically in the United States wasn't that big of a hit, but now it's become what it is. But for me, it was the side three Concerto for a Rainy Day, starting out with Standing in the Rain, and then to Big Wheels and Summer and Lightning, and then ending with Mr. Blue Sky. It was just a magical music experience hearing a rock pop band but with an orchestra. And man, did that connect to me. And they become, as many of you know, especially Mr. Bang, that one of my all-time favorite bands. And Jeff Lynne is an absolute genius. And I feel honored I was able to see this band live in the last 10 years, four times, excuse me. So
And I saw them once with you in Denver. That was fun.
yes. I almost remember that weekend. A little bit too much fun at the bar after.
Our Venn diagram, music Venn diagram that Shane and I share, we have a big overlap on the band ELO.
Yes, we do.
Them. I love them as well. Okay, my third album. Before I get to it, I'm going to give an honorable mention to above my head, Chicago 5. That was the actual first album that I purchased with my own money. Man, I have a bunch of 45s, and my brother used to give me crap. It's like, come on, step up, man. Don't be a wimp. Buy the album. It's like I guess I had to mow a few extra lawns, and albums were $4.99 at the time rather than like 99 cents. So it was a big step. But Chicago 5, my first album I bought. Anyway, number 3 on my list, America, their debut album. Man, this album came out, it looks like January of 1972. So I'm like 12 years old. And the thing about that album, it turned me on to acoustic guitar. There are so many great songs on that album, 12 string, 6 string, all three of the band members going, some acoustic piano, Jerry Beckley on I Need You, but Horse with No Name's actually the worst song on the album, if you ask me. But what an incredible album. And I forever fell in love with acoustic guitar, and to the point where eventually, as an empty nester, I decided to start playing one. So
Yes, you did.
big kudos to America's debut album. I absolutely love that LP, and I play it often in my rotation because I crave that sound.
Yeah. America was awesome, and they still are. And that became a lot of my road traveling music in the background. I think everybody uses a lot of America when they go on a road trip or something like that. And ironically, if you want to learn acoustic guitar, one of the easiest songs you can ever learn is Horse with No Name. It's one
Two
chord.
chords.
It's
Yeah,
one and a half chords, basically,
that's
they
true.
call it. And you just maintain that the whole time through. But it's a great song, great album. Couldn't agree more, Bruce. And my third one, and this is will be the last tribute I'm going to have to my older brother, but this was a huge album for me, is in 1980 81. So I'm now getting into like real music, big hardcore, big time. He brought home, which is I consider to me one of my all-time top three favorite albums of all time. I think that may have been redundant, is Rush Moving Pictures. And to me, that became a moment of shifting my brain into this is something that means something to my soul and listening to this music. Now, I know Rush isn't for everyone. And honestly, when I would hear early Rush, my brother brought home 2112 too earlier, and now that I couldn't connect to that as much because Getty was like, whoa, it kind of threw me off a little bit. But for some reason, in that year or two, and listening to what was coming out Permanent Ways with Spirit of Radio and Free Will, I was transitioned to my very virgin ears into the very accessible moving pictures. And, everybody knows this album. Tom Sawyer, Limelight, Red Barchetta, YYZ or Z if you're in Canada, Camera. I mean, there's nothing. It's one of the greatest classics of all time. And it really also inspired me to say, I want to learn how to be a guitar player. Alex Lifeson, I was just so curious about all that. And that was about the time when that album came out, I started actually picking up the instrument. And I would listen to the album, try to repeat it. And my friends, we taught each other the harmonic at the beginning of Red Barchetta, and we thought we were Alex Lifeson. We were so awesome. But my older brother, give him a lot of credit for my childhood love of rock and roll and multiple genres. That one was solid. So there you go. Rush Moving Pictures.
There was a lot of Rush coming out of my brother's bedroom back in the day too. I was never a super big fan. I mean, the Rush Chronicles, everybody had to have a copy of
Oh
that.
yeah.
And I got to see him in concert once with all three living band members. Incredible. So Rush is there for me too. Well, that's it for our three albums each that impacted us in our musical journey. In the comments, please share with us some impactful LPs for you guys
Absolutely.
that meant a lot to you, that got you started, that still mean a lot to you today, and make a rotation on that turntable to this day. And
Absolutely. And
thanks for
throw it out there one more time. I want to call this volume one because I have about a lot more albums I want to talk about, Bruce, that inspired me, that got me. And this was just the three that I picked that right off the top of my head meant a lot. But as I was writing down the rest, I went, oh my gosh, yeah, what about this, and that? So this will be probably volume one. We'll have a volume two,
oh,
possibly
fair
volume
enough.
two.
We can talk about this all day.
Yes, we can. So thanks for watching, and we'll see everybody soon.
See ya.